24, 2020. It's a Tuesday, and we will be, as usual, tackling important matters. And for today, before I tell you who our guests will be, just to remind you, you're still watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250. And if you have not yet subscribed to Signal TV, I invite you, please subscribe and enjoy the various programs. Ako po, mahilig ako doon sa Property Brothers, home renovations, etc., yung The Pickers, etc., and I'm sure you will have your choice of viewing pleasure if you subscribe to Signal. And you can, of course, some of you are watching us, many of you are watching us via facebook.com/onenewsph, particularly to our friends abroad. Thank you for continuing to watch Agenda, your way of keeping in touch with what's happening in the Philippines. Ito po, nakakadikit-dikit yung dila ko kasi yan ang huwag iinom ng kape bago ng broadcast. But I need my coffee. In any case, you can watch us via facebook.com/onenewsph, and on YouTube, you can watch us by putting in One News PH. Okay. For today, we will be speaking with our friend, ka-church and regular on agenda, Congressman Ruffy Biazon. He will hopefully give us more inside info regarding what Congress wants to do tungkol po dito sa internet speed. Kasi yung iba sa inyo nagko-complain sa internet speed ng mga telcos, etc. And Congress is responding by making a law requiring, I think, minimum speed. Kumbaga sa highway, may minimum speed. Usually dyan sa NLEX, minimum speed dyan, 60, unless construction site yung papasukan ninyo. So for internet, yun po yung gusto nilang mangyari. Then we will try to get more details or at least explanation from the MMDA, courtesy of another kapatid, not ka-church, pero kapatid in the Lord, but also a regular of agenda, Colonel Bong Nebrija of the MMDA, to explain to us what is the long-term plan for EDSA in relation to the U-turn slots. Kasi kahapon po, napakinggan ko yung report ng isang correspondent of DZBB, and according to the guy, he was saying, hindi ko lang nakuha yung pangalan ng reporter, but he was saying that they had traveled from Cubao to Caloocan, a distance of about 7 to 8 kilometers, and it took them 1 hour 45 minutes kasi nawala na raw po yung mga U-turn slot. So if you just needed to make a quick U-turn, wala ng quick U-turn. Doon ka na sa dulo ng walang hanggan. In any case, that's and also a pet peeve that many of us have been experiencing, particularly here in the Pasig Mandaluyong, mostly Pasig Mandaluyong area, yung bang unfair timing of signal lights o traffic lights. Kasi pinaprioritize ang isang main road to the discrimination against the intersecting routes. Kumbaga, dito papadaanin 50 kotse, pagkatapos doon sa intersecting route, papadaanin 5 kotse. Well, we will find out. And then, we will also speak, ito naman, dinig ko na interview kahapon, medyo mainit ang ulo ng Maristella Abenojar, National President of the Filipino Nurses United. Because apparently, while the whole world is praising Filipino nurses and doctors, dito, according to Ms. Maristella, medyo hindi nga nababayaran on time yung kanilang mga sweldo or at least yung kanilang hazard pay. Hazardous way of life, hazardous service na sila, hazardous pa yung pagdating ng kanilang hazard pay. Let's go and find out about that later. Now, Let's take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. Okay, here we go. The United States renews pledge to defend ally Philippines as the Western power says it will stick to its commitment of protecting us Filipinos from security threat. Okay, yan po ay medyo interesting because with the new president coming in the United States, of course, they want to establish relationships, etc. Pero nagpaparinig na rin sila doon sa mga kapitbahay natin, particularly yung China, na watch out, we're coming in. And tingnan natin, no? In any case, beside that headline, senators are calling to bar the Philippine International Trading Corporation or PITC from buying COVID-19 vaccines due to its dismal record, according to Senator Ralph Recto and Senator Franklin Drilon. Yung daw pong PITC, medyo mabagal. Kasi marami na billion piso raw. I don't know if it's million or billions of pesos are parked in the under the management of the Philippine International Trading Corporation or PITC, para bang standby, naka-standby, may mga pinabibili, may pinakukuhang gamit, and it is being done through the PITC, I suppose, for government-to-government transactions, whatever. But they are slow to act on this. And if we're going to make them buy the vaccines, we might have the same problems. In any case, we will find out as we get on with the week because we're also, to be fair naman sa PITC and sa DTI, let's give them a chance to speak, no? Kanya lang, pag nagsalita yung Recto at saka yung Drilon, oftentimes you cannot dispute because they also don't, shoot off their mouths without having data on the ground. In any case, here we go. At the top of the page, the Justice Department indicts 8 more and clears 40 in the Ampatuan massacre. Ayan na po, no? Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung Ampatuan massacre na yan or ewan ko, Ampatuan massacre ba tawag doon? Hindi yata Ampatuan. Dapat ba Ampatuan? Anyway, kasi di ba yung mga Ampatuan ang involved? Anyway, we will find out. Saklolo na nga dito at medyo nalilito ko dito sa headline na ito. In any case, the Justice Department is filing cases against 8 and clearing 40. Kasi ang daming nadamay. Madaming mga meron, mga usi nadamay. In any case, we also see a photo of Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin during a turnover of defense articles from the US to the Philippines. Beside that, we also see the photo of U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien and his request for a longer extension of the Visiting Forces Agreement. Why would we not extend if it is truly, I'm qualifying my comment, beneficial to the Philippines? Dagdagan mo muna ng konti, Larry. Robert, dagdagan mo, Robert. Kasi puro na lang exercise. Dagdagan nyo yung binibigay nyo tulong. At the lower half of the page, Interior Department disclosed that some mayors are involved in illegal logging and mining at sabi nga ng mga DJ dyan, kailangan pa bang i-memorize yan? I'm sorry, even before I got into media, years before, illegal logging, way of life sa probinsya yan Kasi it is a matter of defining what illegal logging is. Kasi meron pong mga lugar na yes, nangangahoy yung mga tigabayan. There are people who do go into the forest, cut trees. But, like in my experience in Palawan, the mayor would actually ask the illegal logger, God rest his soul, yung kaibigan ko, lumawas ka, umakyat ka nga at pumutol ka ng kahoy kasi kailangan natin ng mga pamposte, panghaligi, pangbiga doon sa ating gagawing office diyan sa City Hall. Well, they're not really being illegal loggers. They're simply getting wood from the forest to construct buildings and houses. Sabi nga kahapon ng ating bisita na nagsabi na, we need to distinguish between old forests, between tree farms, etc. And for use. Ang nangyayari, because of all of this brouhaha with illegal logging, nangyayari, pinuputol, nyugan, yung mga coconut trees, ginagawang lumber, coco lumber, pag tumama ang bagyo, putol-putol yung bahay ninyo. In any case, sorry, but even mining, illegal mining, naku po, sasabihin ko na sa inyo, doon sa Mindanao, merong isang lugar dyan na napuntahan namin na isang big businessman. And then, nung nagtanong-tanong kami, nag-due diligence kami, bibilin sana niya yung tree farm, etc. Napapaligiran daw ng illegal mining. Malaman-laman namin, we found out, puro mga bata ng mga general yung nag-illegal mining. Noon pa naman to, no? Hindi ko sinasabi ngayon, noon pa ito. About 2-3 administrations ago. But tell me, it's news? No, it's not news. It's old news. The question is, saan kayo nakatingin? Baka yung ilong nyo nandito, yung mata nyo nandoon. In any case, at the bottom of the page, ito po, sinabi ko na ito, sinulat ko na ito, no? There's a photo of shoppers flocking to Divisoria. In fact, I entitled that Divisory, the state of Divisory, as Health Department warns the public of the high COVID risk in these crowded areas. And I am appealing to you in the same way that the Department of Health is appealing to all of you. Please, ayoko masaktan yung mga kaibigan natin sa Divisoria. And I don't want the City of Manila to look bad. But if the City of Manila and the barangay and the business chambers that operate, control, or have stake in Divisory cannot regulate the number of people that will walk through. I'm sorry, but this is COVID-19 reality. Kung yung hospital, kung yung restaurant ay nagkukula o binibilang kung sino ang pwedeng pumasok, may contact tracing, what automatically exempts the City of Manila and the Divisoria District from implementing such controls? Because you might say, Cito, sobra ka naman. Ito po ang problema. Pag nagkaroon na naman ng outbreak at nagputo ka na naman ang mga kaso ng COVID-19, what will the IATF do? Shift us from GCQ na maluwag to modified ECQ or ECQ. And kayo ang gagawa ng problema, kami ang damay sa magiging solusyon ng gobyerno. And then magsisisihan tayo, sasabihin, hindi, masyadong oppressive, ganito, gano'n. Anyway, I don't want to rant and rave here, but look, please, if the city cannot implement controls, kasi abalang-abala sa mga awards, ay nako po, lalo na yung magaling na mayor, tayo na po ang maggawa ng control. Let us control our desire to go shopping in those places. Kasi when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, how much money do you save? Even at 50% discount, sabihin na lang natin, it costs only 50% in Divisoria. You have to park, you have to walk, you have to expose yourself. Di doon ka na lang sa mall or as the DOH has suggested, online. Ako po, walang biro. Hindi po ako techie, pero wala na. Puro online na lang ako. Kasi why bother? I mean, even with my suki, sinasabi ko, boss, padala ko na lang sa bank mo, bank account mo. And then pag-grab deliver na lang natin. Kasi it's convenient. I save time, I save my pawis, I save my inis sa traffic. In any case, let's move on with our program. Pasensya na po kayo, pero I just want, okay, okay, I just want to really, make sure that we don't have an outbreak, that yung mga, kasi marami naman po, hello, ang asawa ko po, reyna ng Divisoria pagdating doon sa mga foreigners. Kasi pag may kailangan sa Divisoria, tatanungin siya, sasabihin, saan na ako makakabili ng zipper? Saan ba ako makakabili ng clasp, ng hook and eye, ng liner, ng fusing, etc. Kasi magaling ang asawa ko sa pagtatahi. And magaling siya sa Divisoria. Pero we went there, 3 weeks ago? No more. I said, no. And some of my business friends said, Cito, stay away because it's out of control and you could get sick. In any case, we will go for a quick break and we will have Congressman Ruffy Biazon. Ito po, irony of ironies. We're getting Congressman Ruffy Biazon to talk about internet speed. Ayon, yung kanyang internet, nilalaglag siya. We'll go for a quick break here on Agenda. Welcome back here on Agenda, and while we are waiting for Congressman Ruffy Biazon to reconnect to his internet, puntahan muna natin. Let's go to our friend and the guy, the boss of EDSA. Let's go to MMDA, Colonel Bong Nebrija. I don't know, is Colonel Bong... nako, sir, nawala po si Colonel Bong. I don't know if this is I don't know what to call it. But medyo parang you have to treat it as, as part of life because many of us are now in this so-called new normal. Ang nangyayari, medyo maraming pagbabago considering, when you think about it, okay? We're all working from home, or at least many of us are working from home, and there are a lot of things that you have to deal with. Of course, ayan, ako naka-PLDT fiber internet 100 Mbps. And people are saying, Cito, hindi ba pwede yung 50? Di 50% ka lang. Ako, 100. Di ba? Kung magkano percentage yan? What do you want? quality, quantity, etc. So I get the top because the audience needs consistency, continuity. So malaking bagay po yung naka-top ka sa 100 Mbps. Ano ngayon? And then, kuryente, yung ilaw. Kung todo ang ilaw. Bakit? Kasi pag mahina ang ilaw mo, yung quality ng camera, ng video, mahina din. And then, yung paglalagyan mo ng a lot of people just set up a camera kung saan sabi nila, hindi, doon na lang ako sa kwartong maliit na walang ingay. Sometimes a small room can make you look so bad and sound so bad. Why po? Kasi kung puro pader, simento, yung tunog magba-bounce off lang. Pangalawa, parang confined ka, para ka nasa, tatandaan niyo yung photo me booth, mas maganda pa nga kumisan yung photo me kasi close-up lang yung iba, nag-zoom o nag-online, medyo parang hindi magandang tingnan, ano? Then of course, ako naka-earphone. You'll notice that many people being interviewed naka-earphone po. Bakit? Kasi pag naka-speaker, nag-e-echo o kaya yung wow, echo, gumaganon, ano? So naka-earphone para mabawasan yon. And then yung mga sound, mga ambient sounds, yung microphone ko, yes, it's a bit pricey, but it will only get the sound directed at it. May nagpupukpok doon, may nag-iingay doon, hindi niya kinukuha. Then, yung tinuturo ko ngayon, favorite ko ituro, doon sa mga marami bang mga alaga. Yung those of you who have pets, who have dogs, who have whatever, every morning, we bring our dogs. One is brought up to the room and the other one is kept downstairs in a bathroom. Pero yung bathroom ba na may ilaw, may exhaust fan, at saka every morning meron pong treat. Meron siyang doggy bone o biscuit, etc. o buto na papakain ko. Alam niyo kung bakit? So he looks forward to it. Hindi yung pag tinawag mo para pumunta sa banyo, kukulong mo na naman ako. Well, these are just tricks, just thoughts, things of concern. And then, meron nga construction site sa tabi ko. Sinabi ko, pakiusapan na lang, boss, no? Kung pwede, after 9:30 na kayo magpukpukan. Or kung maghahalo kayo ng simento, okay lang. Basta wala lang pukpukan sa pader. Kasi alam niyo baka ma-pick up yung ingay. In any case, you're wondering, what's Cito trying to do? No, I'm not, because it serves me also when other people pick up these things. Because, you have quality conversations. You have quality interviews. And it's vital because if you only have so many minutes, most of our interview lasts about 20 minutes, and you're in the province. Natatandaan nyo yung Camarines Norte, yung incident manager na na-interview natin. They had PLDT fiber, and it was a great interview. And, that he was able to communicate all their needs. In fact, my pastor just told me that because I referred them to PLDT, si Marco Borlongan, boss, maraming salamat po, no? Inaksyonan agad. So sabi niya, ang ganda talaga ng quality. In any case, we will check, check commercial daw po muna. Bawas raw muna yung talkies ko. Sige, commercial muna. And then we'll see if we can connect to our guests. And if not, I'm going to go talk on certain topics. Nilista ko na po dito na gusto ko sanang mapag-usapan natin if we have the chance, like taxing online sabong. Dapat! And then yung mga container vans daw na nakaparada doon sa pier na pinag-aawayan nila kung anong gagawin kasi gusto singilin ng Philippine Ports Authority, PPA, gusto singilin. Pumapalag yung mga shipping companies. Sabi ko nga ano kaya ma-confiscate lahat yun o kaya pagbibili na lang lahat yun at gawing housing doon sa mga nasalantang lugar. Mas mabilis ang construction. Hindi katulad nung ginawa sa Yolanda. May bidding, may construction, pagkatapos pagpunta mo doon, ayaw tira ng tao. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250. Let's try. Let me try again. Ako po, delikadong kanta yan. Okay, let me try again with Colonel Bong Nebrija of the MMDA.
Hi, Cito. Good morning.
Good morning, Colonel Bong. Kamusta ka na?
I'm good. Thank
Okay,
you.
quickly into the questions, issues, kasi kahapon may nadinig akong report dun sa DCWB. Nag-drive daw sila from Cubao to Caloocan, boundary of Caloocan, to make a U-turn. Sabi sa mga listeners, inabot daw ng 1 hour 45 minutes, giving the impression that the removal of the U-turn slots northbound on EDSA for the bus carousel has created hell for private vehicles. Ano po ba ang situation, just so that you can explain matters?
I will not deny that, Cito. Actually, I was on the ground yesterday. I was inspecting it. And true, we had a bottleneck at Balintawak Cloverleaf. The reason behind is even before the closure of Oliveros and Balintawak U-turns, we have already anticipated that this will create volume in that area in the eventual closures of these U-turns prior Balintawak. So what we did is we opened up the exit to NLEX using the service road. This is the service road that leads to Quirino Highway or in Barangay Balonbato. So these are the previous bus lanes that the buses use, the city buses use, and we dedicated that as an exit way for those vehicles who will be exiting to NLEX.
Okay.
However, when we checked yesterday, there are still vehicles and not only private but trucks and utility vans that are still using the old exit way. So, in short, they add up to the volume in the main artery of EDSA Balintawak, whose direction is just going to Monumento. Remember, Cito, this is a 4-lane road,
Yeah.
but these are narrow lanes. These are not wide lanes, no. So when we put up the busway in Balintawak, these 4 roads, the busway ate up at least almost 1.5 of those lanes.
Yeah.
And we're left with 2.5. So alanganin na 3 lanes. And so pag may truck na dyan, alanganin ng magdalawa yung lane na yan. So talagang restricted. And so that's why we are diverting the traffic going to NLEX to the service road. However, there are still people, motorists, private and trucks and vans alike, they're still using the old exit way. So that's why we're proposing to our Traffic Engineering Center to come up with a simulation on how much volume are we going to take away from the main artery of EDSA Balintawak if we will close down the exit going to NLEX and just dedicate solely dedicate the the service road as an exit to NLEX.
Okay. So now, so you're saying that the traffic buildup in NLEX, I mean in EDSA northbound, was not because inalis na yung mga U-turn slot at humaba ang pila, kung hindi kasi merong choke point doon sa NLEX exit. Yun lang ang dahilan for the traffic and for the delay.
Even before Cito, I already told the commuters in my previous interviews, even before we started with the closure, that the big loop will be Balitawak and Quezon Avenue. That will be the big loop. It means in between Quezon Avenue and Balitawak, you need to take this route if you want to take a U-turn. And true enough, there's still people, there's still motorists who are taking EDSA as their primary route in making these U-turns, in crossing to the other direction of EDSA. There
Mm.
are alternate routes. We closed, yes, we closed 6 already of the U-turns, but there are still intersections in Quezon Avenue, in Balintawak that are still open.
Mm.
Now, if you cannot take these alternate routes, and you will be part of the volume of EDSA, I must admit that there will be delays in your commute time.
Okay, Colonel Bong, question lang, no, and you're in a better position to figure it out kasi hindi naman ako masyadong nakakalabas na. Some people were just talking about it last night. Na U-turn slots were put up because we wanted to reduce the volume of traffic created by intersections and traffic lights at intersection. But now that you're closing the U-turn slots for the bus carousel, wouldn't it make sense to reopen those intersections, if any? Kasi hindi ko maisip saan pa ba may intersection except siguro doon sa may Frisco Project 8 sa Quezon Boulevard. Are there still viable intersections that can be reopened so that people will at least have some way of doing their turnarounds if they have to?
That's right, Cito. Actually, the in between Quezon Avenue and Balintawak is the Roosevelt Congressional EDSA intersection.
Yeah.
However, we cannot open this up anymore because that's the one that we use as a bus station. We already put up the
Oh.
bus station right in the middle of the intersection.
Okay.
So,
Pasensya ka na, Colonel Bong, ha? Alam mo naman ako, I support you guys. Pero,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
some people would say, eh di, i-move natin yung bus kasi, you know, that seemed like a logical solution before, but maybe now we have to correct the solution. Is that possible so that you can open up that intersection again? Or will that create even more problems?
I think that will even create more problems, Cito. For now, uh, I hope our traffic engineering could come up with a sound volume count and the simulation, the reduction or increase in travel time and travel speed, so that people can realize the effectiveness of the busway.
Yeah.
I know this is not for everyone's delight or pleasure or convenience, but just like what our policymakers are saying, this will be for the greater good of the greater number. Definitely, Sito, I must admit that there will be motorists that will be inconvenienced by this, but we're trying to speed up the completion of the busway before the new normal comes, because we know that we will be catering to more passengers. There will be more buses in the carousel that we need to well manage.
Yeah.
So we're still in that process, and well, for us in MMDA, we're trying to come up with traffic schemes somehow, just like what we did in the exitway of the NLEX, to mitigate the effect of disclosures. We know that this will create volume, we know that this will just create volume in other parts of EDSA as we slowly inch our way towards Monumento.
Hmm.
But then again, just to accommodate the busway, we need to do this. And we have our plates full, Cito, to mitigate the effect of these closures. We know that there will be motorists that will be affected by this, inconvenienced by this. There will be volume that will be moved forward further north. There will be intersections that will have delays
Yeah.
that they haven't experienced before because of this closure.
Yeah.
But
What?
just
What?
like what I said, this
Yeah.
is for the busway.
Yeah, but what worries me about this, Colonel Bong, no, and forgive me, but I have to think of all sectors because primarily many of the policymakers are thinking greater good for the greater number. And ang
Yes.
thinking ay para sa mga empleyado, mga mananakay, people who take public utility. And it now becomes an issue where we are trading off the convenience of, allegedly, the convenience of private car owners versus the greater number of commuters. But what some of those policymakers seem to forget is that because of all these truck bans, etc., and because of COVID-19, many of us are now conducting business in smaller vehicles, yung mga delivery. You were mentioning about, your, ano ba yung office na yun, yung mag-aaral ng traffic flow, numbers, etc., yung engineering.
Yes, yes.
I just hope that they can somehow also do an observation or take into consideration yung mga delivery vans. Kasi ang isang feedback is, okay lang kung sasabihin natin private cars. Kasi most of us are not driving anymore. We've just essentially stopped. But many people on the road now are deliveries, whether in vans, closed vans, or small utility vehicles. And the delay, and I understand your situation. Parang ano ka no win situation ka, wala kang paglagyan. Pero I'm almost sure that the politicians are going to jump in on this and saying, you cannot jeopardize the economy just because you want to be popular, or baka sabihin pa ng iba, inuuna ninyo yung pamumulitika, etc. Hindi ka, yung mga policy makers.
Of course, Lito, we understand. And again, we really need to defend this in the Committee of Transportation, not only in Congress, but also in Senate, if we are called, I also understand, not only for the businesses, but also for the public utility vehicles like taxis and TNBS. They are also complaining now that they are spending more on gas and time in picking up and dropping off their passengers, especially if they will be taking EDSA. We understand, we hear you. Just that, these observations, being the commander on the ground, I relay this to my bosses, and my bosses relay this to the policymakers. We sit down on this and we try to address this. We're coming up with different ideas. Actually, Cito, just to let you know, there's even one idea that came out in one of our sit-down sessions with our policymakers, that to put up a ramp for the busway. It means that the buses will go up the ramp, and we will be using under the space below the ramp as a U-turn slot for private vehicles on EDSA.
Yeah, sorry, Colonel Bong, kasi alam mo, ang unang nag-suggest niyan si Ramon Ang of San Miguel. When he was saying before how to deal with the traffic, sabi niya, magtayo ng mga ramps para yung mga bus stop, hindi sa baba, kundi nasa taas. Now, you guys have modified the idea. You will put up the elevated bus ramp, a bus stop, para magkaroon naman ng U-turn. So, it would be a compromise.
Something like that, Cito. Still, the idea, I haven't seen it on the drawing table yet, but it has been floated. Uh, Again, these things needs funding, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. Any capital outlay right now is too difficult to secure.
Eh,
So
hindi ba pwedeng pa-privatize yan? Meaning, okay, o sige, Mr. Ang, total, ikaw naman na nag-umpisa nito, RSA. O sige, kayo na ang magpagawa niyan at sisingil sila ulo-ulo or, per bus. I'm just making it medyo para makarelate naman yung iba, hindi ba? Kada bus, o merong kayong loading fee.
well, Sito, that's worthy of consideration. However, it's beyond my pay grade. I hope the policymakers are also listening.
Ay, hindi.
So that they can consider
Okay.
your suggestion.
Walang pay grade dito, Colonel Bong. Kasi dito, it's what we want to do is to float the ideas so that people
Yes.
will realize. Because I think more than anything, that's what you and I can do.
Yes.
Pay grade naman natin dalawa, pareho lang eh. Kanya lang, at least marinig ng ibang tao. And it's good because I think this is the bright spot in our conversation today. Hindi puro problema. You are saying there is a possible solution. Kailangan nga lang may magkapital.
Yes, that's right, Sito. Again, that idea has been floated. If somebody
Okay.
will push through with it, with the design and funding, that would be great for everyone.
Okay, I will remind Mr. Ramon Ang of his idea and baka naman pwedeng magkaroon ng proposal para maibsan yung problema na yan. In any case, quickly na lang bago tayo maubusan, Colonel, may magagawa ba kayo? Can you guys do something about the discrimination that's happening to motorists? Kasi I understand that MMDA and all the government offices and LGUs are prioritizing the main roads going to EDSA for faster flow. Ang problema naman, katulad dito sa Shaw Boulevard, I have been studying it. It takes 4 turns of the traffic light for us to be able to cross from, let's say, Meralco Avenue, from other roads intersecting Shaw Boulevard. Maghihintay ka na 4 na palit ng ilaw, 4 changes of the traffic light before you can cross because they only allow 5 cars to 6 cars at a time and then 100 cars on Shaw Boulevard and similar roads. And people are really beginning to get annoyed with it kasi parang we understand the government's priority pero wag naman nilang sayangin yung oras namin para lang sa patakaran nila.
Well, Sito, for example, in Shaw Boulevard in Ortigas, that's primarily we put up the flyover and the underpass in these intersections to avoid this kind of conflict. We even put up the flyover from EDSA to Meralco Avenue. So the thing is, there are stoplights, there are signalization that have been put up by the local government, and they're the ones controlling it. Actually, we have the same kind of problem before where traffic on EDSA are piling up, especially in the flyover going to Meralco, just because the vehicles using that flyover cannot move forward because of the signalization being controlled by the local government in that area. And this is something that we needed to coordinate with them, and even sometimes send motorcycle units of our of MMDA to be on the ground to help out the local government in managing the traffic. We cannot. That's not the only conflict that we have. We even have this Boni Serrano Ortigas intersection, wherein that intersection is divided into 2 local governments, San Juan and Quezon City, and one side is controlling for the benefit of that local government, and the other side is controlling also the same way for their benefit, and the one that suffers are the motorists.
Colonel, alam mo, mabuti pa mag-usap kayo ng mga kinaukulan because pag nagtatanong naman ako sa mga tinamaan ng ewan, sasabihin nila, hindi sir, kasalanan ho ng MMDA yan. Ay sir, kasalanan ho ng HPG yan. Kasi sila po gusto nila priority EDSA. In any case, pinapaabot lang namin. I just want
Yes.
to call this to your attention because it has become irritating, and apparently this situation, it is the national agencies or government that's being accused. And alam nyo, all these little accusations pile up into a big heap of galit, and it's not something we want. So I hope the MMDA could step in and put a stop to this, kasi alam niyo po, yung oras natin, lalo na under COVID, lahat tayo, we are numbering our days and our hours. Thank you very much, Colonel Bong. Mag-ingat ka, ha? And mabuti naman up to now, hindi ka naman na-apektuhan ng COVID. And alam ko, masama loob mo, hindi ka sinama ni Sam Luzon dun sa Catanduanes. Pareho lang tayo masama ang loob. Iniwanan tayo dito sa Metro Manila. Okay? Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure talking to you and having this kind of conversation. Maraming salamat. Mag-iingat tayong lahat.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colonel Bong Nebrija of the MMDA. Siya po yung namamahala sa EDSA. Ayun po, there is hope. And of course, unfortunately, Colonel Bong, sabi nga niya, it is beyond his pay grade. But a bright idea, and I have to give credit, hindi naman po dahil sa kaibigan ko yung mama, but in one conversation, and I think it was even featured in the Star, or mentioned in the Star article, where Ramon Ang had suggested two ideas. Build a second level on EDSA. Kumbaga, EDSA on top of EDSA. Pero ang isang solution na nabanggit niya sa mga columnists at one point was, gumawa muna tayo ng bus stops, elevated bus stops, para yung tao doon bumababa, hindi yung kung saan-saan nakikipagsiksikan yung mga bus na pumapara sa EDSA. This was before the bus carousel. So in fairness to the DOTR, to Secretary Tugade, ginawa niya yung bus carousel. I like the idea, but it has to be perfected. So ngayon, ano yung mga dapat i-perfect dyan? So ngayon, itong U-turn slots. Kung gagawa ng rampa na pagsasakay baba ng mga pasahero, elevated ramp, yung ilalim, as Bong Nebrija has mentioned, will now be accessible or useful as a U-turn slot for private cars lang, Kasi unless it's really high, kasi ang magiging problema niyan pag sinabitan naman ng mga damuhong truck na yan. Okay, but in any case, U-turn slots combined with bus stops, elevated bus stops, it's a solution. Let's all pray for it. I'm serious about this. When they were building C5, araw-araw po, pinagdadasal namin ng mga kaibigan ko na maalis na yung mga obstruction, mga nag-hold back. Ayan po, yung C5, malaking tulong na, kanya lang masikip na rin. Okay, so let's pray for these elevated bus stops and U-turn slots para naman maayos na yung bus carousel, yung EDSA na yan, and with the connection all the way from SLEX to NLEX, hopefully, mabawasan ng traffic. Let's go for a quick break. And when we return, we will speak with Congressman Ruffy Biazon, find out kung meron na siyang internet connection. Here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran. And for those of you who are wondering, ano ito sinasabi ni Citong faster internet bill? Okay, The House Committee on Information and Communications Technology has approved a bill that would mandate public telecommunication entities and internet service providers to provide a minimum internet speed of 2 megabits per second or Mbps, okay, to its customers all over the country. Lawmakers at the lower house of Congress have questioned the provision of a proposed measure seeking to provide faster internet connection in the Philippines that pushes for a minimum download speed of 10 megabits per second in metropolitan Manila or cities, 5 Mbps in other cities, and a staggering low 2 Mbps in ayan na, kasi text ng text eh. Ayan, kanya ko nalilito sa binabasa eh. Okay, let's go to our interview. Let's go to Congressman Ruffy Biazon.
Hi, Cito. Good morning. And to
Good
your
morning, Ruffy. Sorry, I was trying to set up the scenario para pagpasok mo medyo naintindihan na. Pero in any case, you're there already. Perhaps you can explain to us, kailangan pa ba ng batas? Bakit daw parang may nagcha-challenge, etc. dito sa proposal mo to legislate internet speed?
Yes, sa kasalukuyan kasi, di ba, we are operating in an environment wherein the regulating agency, yung NTC, siya ang ating gatekeeper sa quality ng service na provided sa atin ng mga telcos. And I think wala naman hong tatanggi na lahat tayo na experience natin is service that is not at par with our neighbors kahit nandito lang sa ASEAN. And usually it leads to frustration, lalo na ngayon na tayo relying on the internet. Even yung meetings namin in Congress, nasasabit minsan dahil nga sa delivery of service ng mga providers. So we felt na kinakailangan i-compel, pilitin ang mga service providers na iangat ang level of service. Kaya pumasok ang mga bill na pinanukala namin. Isa ako sa mga principal authors. Since last Congress pa nung nag-file ako ng bill, proposing na magkaroon ng minimum of 10 Mbps internet speed. Actually, yun kami lahat ang gusto. Tapos na-designate ako as technical working group chair. So ako yung nag-conduct ng technical working group. At doon sa technical working group, natutunan din namin yung the technical aspect of delivering the service. Kaya yung gusto namin na 10 Mbps across the board all over the country. Ang reality is we may have to make adjustments. No? So may certain areas na minimum requirement is 10 Mbps. Then there are areas which go down to 2 Mbps. Nung nag-present kami sa Mother Committee, doon medyo mga congressmen na una nagreklamo bakit daw 2 Mbps lang ang binibigay sa rural areas. But together with resource persons na dala namin ay napaliwanagan naman sila na mabuti at naunawaan nila. Kaya graduated or yung depending on the area, yung standard ng delivery of service is suited doon sa needs ng lugar. And of course, taking into account yung costs involved.
Yeah, okay. Since you mentioned having done the research, getting to better understand the technology, the question is it realistic? Technically, is it realistic? Is it just a question of putting up the right equipment, requiring the telcos to put up the right equipment? Or is it a combination of both? Kasi ilang beses ko na rin nadinig, and having been in business before, don't expect me to invest tons of money in an area where there are no customers. Kasi ako, noon pa rin ako nagsasabi ng ganyan, we need an airport here, we need a telco here, a cell site here. And when I speak with them, sasabihin, Cito, we want to do it, pero we're not in business to be missionaries, unlike you. So what's your response to that, Congressman?
Yes, we agree. Ano? Yun nga yung isang natutunan din namin during the technical working group.
Oo.
Like for example, hindi mo naman basta-basta lang maglagay ng 10 Mbps infrastructure in an area na ang need nila ay hindi naman talaga kailangan ng 10 Mbps. No? Kasi tataas ang cost. Kaya nga sabi na if we insist on 10 Mbps across the board all over the country, it would actually result to a reverse situation wherein we are cutting off internet access to certain sectors. No?
Because tataas ang presyo.
Tataas ang presyo or yung mga small providers. No? Kasi hindi naman lahat big telcos ang nagpo-provide. In other areas, the smaller ISPs ang nagbibigay ng service. They might have to shut down. So, ang resulta talaga nun is cutting off people from internet access. So, ito yung resource persons namin are, I would say, hindi ito influenced by the telcos. No? Ito yung mga grupo na like democracy.net.ph, no? Yung Internet Service Organization of the Philippines. Mga ganun na grupo na more on the consumers. No? So, kaya binigyan naman natin ng weight yung kanilang inputs.
So what's the final outcome?
Yeah, so ang outcome, ang internet speed standard, no? 10 Mbps for metropolitan areas like the NCR, as well as highly urbanized centers or cities, no? Like HUCs in the province like Cebu City or Davao City. Tapos other cities are 5 Mbps, and then yung rural areas about 2 Mbps. Based on the study and research ng mga consumer groups, these are sufficient to serve the needs of our countrymen. Depende yun dun sa paggamit nila, yung need nila, at yung capability ng mga service providers in those areas. Now, yung nabanggit mo kanina, yung parang missionary areas, we term them as greenfield areas. Merong parang incentive na binigay kami doon sa bill. Mas maluwag ang rules sa kanila for the next 5 years in the hopes of inviting those investors or companies na pumasok doon sa mga areas na ang tingin nga parang missionary areas. No? So, ang objective natin is really to bring internet access which is needed by our people in as many areas as we can. Tapos hindi na concentrate sa speed. No? Kasi nalaman din natin na quality of service is not just the speed. It includes other properties, no? Such as in latency, upload speed, download speed, and many other technical aspects.
Okay, you were talking about incentivization. Now, ang problema, many investors, they will say, okay, the national government is giving us reason, incentive to go out to this greenfield or missionary areas, but the local governments don't do exactly the same. Meron na ba tayong situation where local government, makikinabang kayo dito, butt out, stay out of this, this is a national government project, or this is going to be under the coverage of this law?
Yes, makita natin successful yung intervention ni Presidente, di ba? Ito recently. Dahil talagang he put his foot on the ground, yung local governments nag-respond. So napabilis yung processing kasi isa yan sa mga naging problema. Just getting permits from LGUs was a problem. Pero nung may intervention ni Presidente, nakita natin na it can be done. So in the bill, we put a provision authorizing the President to carry out measures to streamline yung mga regulatory processes and procedures sa pagtayo ng internet infrastructure. Pati yung regulatory costs. No? Regulatory cost means yung mga fees or mga payments na binabayaran.
Permits. Yeah.
Yes, permits, etc. So may nilagay tayong power doon na makumpel ang local governments para mapabilis yung proseso ng mga paglagay ng internet service. And of course, doon din sa mga service providers, ang sanay tayo ngayon yung sinasabi, kunyari, up to 5 Mbps. No? Parang kumbaga, first lang yung kanilang kino-comply. Sa
Oo.
bill natin na they should be providing at least 80% of the advertised speed, at least 80% of the time. So yung sustained speed ang sinasabi natin dito, yung sustained quality of service. Otherwise, they will be penalized. May penalty yan. Unlike ngayon, actually, yung dahil outdated din yung batas natin, yung penalty is just 200 pesos.
Yun nga, I was about to mention that. So does this law also delve into that in terms of penalties?
Yes, tinasan natin yung penalty dito, no? Umaabot nga ito as high as 2 million pesos, no, for each count of violation, no? So it's a far cry from the current 200 pesos kasi
Yeah, but how would you monitor this, or how are you going to impose this, Congressman?
Well, yung NTC, of course, is the one designated, no? And then they should be coming up with yung paraan kung paano nila mamomonitor ang delivery ng service. And yung participation ng mga internet consumer groups.
So ang mangyayari parang ERC. Pag may complaint ka tungkol sa kuryente, pupunta ka sa ERC. Pag may complaint ka tungkol sa kalye, pupunta ka sa TRB. So dito
Yes.
pupunta ka sa DICT.
Yes, in a way it's like that. Tapos ngayon may meron kaming nilagay na prescribed na period na dapat umaksyon yung telcos, yung complaints. Unlike now, na pagka nag-complain ka, parang forever na yung complaint mong hangin, no? Kaya nga sabi ko yung by experience na lang kasi during the technical working group meetings, of course yung bigger telcos, some of them were saying by experience. So they cannot deny it, no, na yung claims ng mga tao are real, and yung claims nila ng efficient and reliable service are medyo hindi natin talaga maaasahan.
Yeah, but how do we protect naman? And I have to be fair, no? And of course, for transparency, we are part of the MVP group. We are sister company to Smart, etc. How do you protect the telcos in turn from a deluge of complaints? Kumbaga, ma-drop call lang o kaya bumagal lang because of some technical problems beyond the control of the telco. Baka mamaya bahain ng puro complaints yung mga telco. Wala na silang gawin kung hindi mag-attend ng hearing.
Well, the regulatory agency, of course, will be the one to i-triage nila yung mga complaints. No? Kung pasok dun sa complaint, for example, with regard to the sustained download-upload speed. No? Kasi specific yung sinabi dito, 80% of the time, 80% of the published speed. Kumbaga, may maliwanag na parameter na para masabi na kung ito ay violation or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yung NTC would have to take action on the complaints that are submitted to them. Kung ito ay mga parang routine lang naman talaga na experience, no, during operations, they can make the decisions there on a regulatory capacity.
Okay.
Pero yung mga violation on this law, yung provision of quality of service, more specific naman siya.
Last question, Congressman Ruffy. We are in a pandemic. We are all online, and I'm surprised that actually the telcos are managing well itong shift na ito. Pero wala pa akong nadidinig on government side or in terms of legislation that recognizes that a shift is occurring, and therefore we need to build up our infrastructure, our internet infrastructure, our telcos, etc., and in such a way where it's a partnership and not an imposition. Kasi siyempre, if we want the businessmen to put out the money to make the investment, we also have to partner with them. And parang ang nakikita ko lang, and this is personal, puro tax. puro impose, demand. Pero wala akong nakikitang parang mga special package ba na okay, if you do this, we will give you tax-free blah 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 for so many years. Is there anything like that on the table?
I'm just not aware kung may pending, for example, in the Committee on Ways and Means, no? Kasi sila yung in charge sa mga tax or mga incentives. I'm not just sure. But there are other, as far as government recognizing the need to step up, no, with regard to ang capability natin on internet transactions. May ibang mga bills na naka-file ngayon. I'm not just certain investment by the private sector. Yun lang I'm not sure. But definitely, like for example, government is trying to embark on a government project of broadband access for at least the government system. Bawas yun dun sa kakarguhin ng mga private sector. That's one thing that I know of.
Okay. Well, in any case, Ruffy, thank you very much, Congressman Ruffy Biazon, and we hope that this law will be received amicably by all sides, and that it would actually result into faster internet service for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cito, and good morning. God bless.
Okay, God bless. Okay, that's Congressman Ruffy Biazon, and ayun po, no, medyo masalimuot. My point just being that law, that bill is okay. I would just like to see something from the government, kasi parang puro impose, nangongolekta ng buwis, impose ng mga requirements or demands on services. Pero parang, hello, kung ikaw kaya ang may-ari ng negosyo, ano kaya ang pakiramdam mo pag puro gano'n na lang? I think we should also carry part of the burden, or at least the government should share in the burden of providing better services to the people and not imposing and demanding from private sector. Okay, puntahan po natin ang ating susunod na bisita, Maristella Abenojar. Siya po yung sa Filipino Nurses United. I don't know if she's there already, but let's check. Maristella Abenojar, National President, Filipino Nurses United. Maristella, are you there?
Cito, good morning.
Ayun, good morning, Maristella. Alam mo, nadinig ko yung interview mo kahapon sa radyo at medyo na-surprise ako. I was really shocked because this past week, everything that I saw abroad were praises about Filipino nurses, the dedication, the heroism, etc. Biglang ito yung Maristella, I'm saying, sana naman bayaran ninyo yung aming hazard pay ng nasa oras. Ano ba sitwasyon? Totoo ba yun? Ano nangyari?
Totoo po yun. Ang nangyari po kasi noong mga nakaraang buwan ay nakatanggap po ang FNU or yung Filipino Nurses United ng mga complaints mula sa aming mga kasamahang nurses na apparently ang kanila pong mga hazard pay at special risk allowance ay hindi pa po nila natatanggap. At ang kanilang mga sahod po ay, ang karamihan po ay delayed. Kung maalala mo, Sir Cito, dapat na-implement na yung salary grade 15, hindi ba? Kasi ito ay dinesisyonan ng Supreme Court noong last year, December 13. At naglabas din ng DBM ng budget circular na 2020-4 nitong July 17 na i-implement na ang salary grade 15 batay sa nursing law noong 2002. Pero hindi pa rin po yan fully na i-implement ngayon. May nag-implement man ay mangilan-ngilan. Ang karamihan po ay nag-aantay pa ng klaro pang guidelines, no? Tapos nung nagkaroon at ang iba rin po ay hindi nakatanggap dahil sila po ay contractual. Yun pong mga tinatawag nating job order o kaya ay contract of service. Ang sabi po ng DBM dyan, sila ay walang employee-employer relationship kaya hindi dapat makatanggap, hindi pwedeng makatanggap ng SG-15. Pero taliwas po yan sa ating batas na Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. Kasi doon ang nakalagay, ang pinakamababa ng matatanggap ng isang nurse sa pamahalaan, sa gobyerno ay salary grade 15. At ang intention niyan ay tiyakin na maayos yung kanilang welfare at ma-entice sila na dito magsilbi sa ating bayan. Pero nagkaroon po ng kaguluhan, hindi po yan naipatupad. Ngayon po, ito po ay ilan sa mga hinaing ng ating mga nurses at kasabay po niyan ay may demotion pa na nangyari. Kasi po yung circular na nilabas ng DBM na sinagsasabing itataas ang sweldo ng salary ng nurse 1 from salary grade 11 to salary grade 15 ay may kasabay na provision na nagsasabing ang mga nasa nurse 2 naman hanggang nurse 7 ay bababa ng isang rank. Halimbawa po, yung nurse 2 na isang head nurse o charge nurse ay magiging staff nurse na lamang, nurse 1. Yung nurse 3 po na supervisor, magiging isang head nurse na lamang, nurse 2. Hanggang sa yung pinakamataas na posisyon, yung pong nurse 7 na para sa chief nurse ay dinisolve nila. At ginawa po siyang nurse 6, assistant chief nurse position po yun.
Maristella, may explanation ba kung bakit ginawa ng DBM yan?
Ang paliwanag po ng DBM sa amin in writing, kasi hinanghingi po kami ng clarification, ang FNU, ang sabi po nila, kinailangan daw po nilang gawin ito para ipatupad yung SG-15. Kasi yung SG-15 na sweldo na ngayon ng nurse 1 ay dati ng sweldo ng nurse 2. So kumbaga parang pareho na lang sila ng sweldo. Di po ba pareho na silang SG-15? So ang ginawa nila, imbis na iangat, di po ba natural kapag itinaas mo yung ibaba, tataas yung kasunod. Pero ang ginawa nila, para hindi po sila mamroblema sa budget, yung nurse 2, ibinaba nila ng nurse 1. O edi dati pa rin ang sweldo, SG-15. Ganun po yung kanilang...
Sandali, Maristella. That's not necessarily the case, di ba? Kung tinaas mo yung nurse 1 to salary grade 15, pero wala ka namang sinabi tungkol doon sa nurse 2 and above, then everything kalagayan o kita nung salary grade 1. Di ba? Ay, nung nurse 1.
Or iangat mo. Kasi hindi naman po pwedeng magkakaroon po kasi ng pareho. Unfair din po doon sa tungkulin na ginagawa.
Yung grade, yung nurse 2 pataas, ibang usapan na yun. Ika nga nila. Pero kasi, imbis na, ang nangyari, imbis na, sige, stay muna kayong nandiyan dyan sa taas o pareho na lang ang grade 1 at grade 2, ang nurse 1 at nurse 2, ang nangyari, na-demote yung mga nasa taas.
Totoo po. Ganun po nangyari. Kaya po, nag-oppose po ang maraming nurses. Libo-libo pong nurses ang nag-oppose dito. Kasi hindi lamang po by hundreds ang affected dyan. Tapos yung iba po kasi ay talagang matagal po ang kanilang naipuhunan na pagtatrabaho bago nila na-achieve yung current position nila. At sa isang iglap ay bigla mong i-demote. At meron din po yung effect doon sa kanilang functions para sa nursing service, no? Kung paano po sila magdi-deliver ng kanilang services sa ating mga pasyente. Kaya po, doon sa patuloy po na aming paglalabi ay napilitan po ang DOH sa tulong po ng ating mga mambabatas sa House of Representatives, in particular po si Representative Ferdinand Gaite during the budget hearing noong October 15, napilitan po na i-suspend muna itong demotion. Naglabas po ang Department of Health ng Department Memorandum 2020-0466 na nagsasabi pong pansamantala, temporary sinususpindi ang demotion. Actually, may investigation po na isinasagawa. Pero nung nilabas po niya yon, nagkaroon po ng iba-ibang interpretation kasi hindi po klaro. Ang iba po, ang sinuspindi nila yung buong laman ng budget circular. Kaya yung mga nurse po na tumatanggap na ng SG-15, bigla pong binawi, ni-revert back ang sweldo sa SG-11. Yung iba naman po na hindi pa nagpapatupad, lalo nang hindi nagpatupad. So ang mga nasa LGUs naman po, nagsabi po sila na Ano lang yan, yung temporary suspension ng demotion, para lang yan sa DOH hospital. So tuloy ang demotion. So sa mga LGUs po natin ay demoted pa rin hanggang ngayon ang mga nurses. Kaya po,
meron
gulo po
bang,
ito.
Maristella, may ganun ba na may iba pa yung DOH hospital, meron pang mga LGU hospital? Kumbaga iba-ibang, paano na yan? Akala ko one law for all.
That's what we believe as well po, Sir Cito.
Oh.
Na kasi halimbawa po, yung nursing law, the nursing law applies for all nurses.
Oh.
Hindi lang naman po yan nag-a-apply sa mga DOH nurses, no? Para po yan sa lahat. Pero yun nga
Basta
po ang medyo
government.
klaro. Basta government.
Basta government. Yung private,
Opo.
iba yun. Ibang usapan yun.
Ibang, opo,
Okay.
minimum wage po dapat yon. Opo, sa DOLE naman po yon.
Okay,
So ito po
sandali.
yung nangyari. Opo.
Yung hazard pay, kasi ang actual na dahilan ba't kita tinatawagan ay yung hazard pay. Kasi hazardous work talaga yung ginagawa ninyo. Yung isang paa nasa hukay, ika nga. But what about the hazard pay? Anong naging problema?
Marami pong hindi nabibigyan ng hazard pay at special risk allowance. No, amin po itong ipinabatid sa DOH mismo, no? Sa dialogue po. Pinabatid din po namin ito sa iba pang mga ahensya ng gobyerno at ganun din po sa mga mambabatas natin. Kaya po nung November 18, Sir Cito, during the budget deliberation ng DOH, ni-raise po ito ni na Senator Kiko Pangilinan at Senator Ralph Recto. Kung ilan ba talaga, kasi nga sinabi nila na meron po silang na-receive from us na complain about this. So tinanong nilang DOH kung totoo ba ito at kung anong nangyayari sa hazard pay at saka ilan ang tumanggap. Ang sagot po ng Department of Health ay mayroon daw pong 16,764 na health workers na hindi pa nabibigyan ng hazard. Yan po ang kanilang simpleng paliwanag during the budget deliberation. Pero ang sabi po ni Senator Recto, hindi naman po pwede yan kasi nagtrabaho na sila. Kung pinagtrabahuhan na nila yan, tapos na-expose pa sila sa mga hazard, at yan ay pangako ng pamahalaan. Nakasaad po yan sa Bayanihan 1 at meron din pong guidelines ang DOH para naman doon sa mga 10,000 mahigit na emergency hired. Kaya po, dapat ibigay nila. So, sabi ni Senator Recto sa kanila, hanapan nyo ng budget at ibayaran ang utang na ito ng pamahalaan sa kanila.
Ay nako, so kanya pala maraming mga nurse ngayon ang nagpupumilit makahanap ng kontrata abroad. Ano nagiging epekto nito doon sa mga pag-alis ng mga Filipino nurses? Kasi nagtataka ako hindi nababayaran 16,000 plus na demote yung mga grade 2 to supervisor.
Nurse 2 to nurse 7 po.
Sorry, nurse 2 to nurse 7. Pagkatapos pinopromote ngayon yung pag-alis ng mga nurse. Ano ba, pinapaalis ba talaga kayo sa palagay mo?
Actually po, ang nangyari pong decision noong November 21, nilift po ng Pangulong Duterte ang ban. Naalala po ninyo nung pong April 2, mayroon pong inilabas na Governing Board Resolution number 9 ang POEA na temporary suspended po ang deployment ng 14 na health workers, na health professions, kasama po ang nurses. Tapos naglabi po ang mga nurses na i-lift yung ban kasi marami na pong nandirito at dapat makaalis na, libo-libo. Sayang po yung ginastos nila at saka yung paghihintay po nila. So ito pong nakaraang 21 ng November, nilift nga po yung ban. Ang problema naman po, nung nilift po nila yung ban, naglagay pa rin po sila ng limitation. Ang tawag po nila doon ay cap. Naglagay po sila ng 5,000 cap. Ibig sabihin 5,000 healthcare workers lamang ang papayagang lumabas ng bansa kada taon. At magsisimula po yan next year, sa January 1, 2021. Opo.
Aray ko.
Opo. Ang amin po sa FNU na agam-agam po ngayon, Sir Cito, is that on the average po kasi in the past 20 years, ang atin pong napapalabas na mga nurses ay hindi po bababa sa 13,000 kada taon. 13,000 kada taon. Yan po yung hindi bababa.
nakakalungkot
Tapos
nga,
5,000
Maristela.
lang.
Nakakalungkot nga eh. Kasi ang sa akin, hanggat maaari, sana walang gustong umalis kasi mas gusto nilang magtrabaho dito.
Opo.
Pero ikaw na mismo nagsasabi na meron ng libo-libo na gustong umalis and
Opo.
na-explain mo na kung bakit gustong umalis. So, hindi na katakataka. Pero bigla ako na alala tuloy yung kantang Ibon man may layang lumipad. Pero may tali pala, may garter pala sa paa. Nakakalipad nga kayo pero hindi kayo makaalis ng mesa. Anyway, Maristella. So, Ginoo, talagang
Ako
hayaan
naman
mo.
po, Sir Cito, may ibang awit na naaalala ngayon na pinag-uusapan natin. Yung Killing Me Softly. Kasi po, pakiramdam namin, unti-unti kaming pinapatay. Una po, pinapatay sa gutom. Mahirap po yung delayed ang sweldo mo ng 2 to 3 months. Tapos hindi ka pa
Ano ka mo?
binibigyan. Meron
2
pong
to
mga
3 months?
Yes po, meron po tayong mga nurses at ibang health workers, kahit doktor, na delayed ang sweldo ng 2 to 3 months. Hindi na ho ito makatao kasi meron din ho kaming mga pamilya na amin pong sinusuportahan. Kung bawat uwi namin ng bahay, pinoproblema namin ang aming ipapakain sa aming pamilya dahil hindi po namin natatanggap ang aming sweldo, abay hindi na po yan tama, di po ba? Tapos unti-unti rin kaming pinapatay sa exposure namin sa COVID-19 na hindi naman kami nabibigyan ng sapat na compensation, kagaya nga po ng hazard pay at ng special risk allowance, no? Kaya po ito po yung nakakalungkot na situation natin ngayon.
Lang, Maristella, last question ko na, no? Kasi para
Opo.
maintindihan ng tao, bakit iibang bayan pa kayo, mag-iibang bansa pa kayo na delikado rin naman. Magkano ba, how many times more ang kikitain ng isang nurse pag nag-ibang bansa?
Pag ng ibang bansa, kung Asian neighboring countries po, nasa ano po yan, 60, 80 to 90,000. Pero kapag nandun ka na po sa
Ano yan? A month?
Europa, a month po.
Okay.
Pero kung nasa Europa ka po, like UK or Germany or Ireland, nasa 120 to 150,000 a month. Kung nasa US ka, nasa 200,000 a month. So ganun po kalaki yon. Ngayon, bakit po alam po namin na ang COVID ay global. Maari din po kami magkasakit ng COVID sa ibang bansa. Pero meron po kaming maibibigay sa aming pamilya na pantawid gutom po nila at saka pangangailangan po nilang basic. Ang amin din pong pamilya ay pwedeng magkasakit ng COVID-19. Pero kung nandito po kasi sila at delayed ang sweldo nila at wala po silang tinatanggap na benepisyo, ano po ang support system or support means na pwede nilang ibigay sa kanilang pamilya? Hindi ho ba't
Okay.
wala? Opo.
Maristella, ako na ang bahalang mag-wrap up.
Opo.
Palagay ko sapat na nasabi mo at
Opo.
medyo nakakagimbal. Pero manalig ka. Sisikat pa rin ang araw. Okay, maraming salamat,
Opo.
Maristella.
Sige po. Maraming salamat din po, Sir Cito.
Okay, yan po si Maristella Abenojar. For those of you who may not have picked up on the Tagalog, in Nurse 1 gets salary grade from 11 promoted to grade 15. But Nurse 2 and up to 7 gets demoted to compensate for the promotion of Nurse 1. So nag-away-away. And then some nurses don't get, and doctors in government don't get their salaries anywhere from 2 to 3 months. I've seen this in past administrations, even in the diplomatic corps. But I thought that sort of nightmare no longer happens. But apparently it happens, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic, and now I understand why even yung ay nag-nursing at ngayon ay nasa Ireland na. Wala, yun na po talaga ang katotohanan, and I won't even talk about leadership in the DOH because that in itself is a great big mess. We hope you would join us in praying for our Filipino nurses, that God would protect them, that would hear their pleas, that God would hear their pleas and their prayers, and that someone in this government would actually pick up this story and do something about it because it's not right. Our frontline workers were heroes 5 months ago. And now they're here pleading for their hazard pay and their salaries. That is sick. Thank you very much for joining us here on Agenda. Please continue to pray and be grateful for what we have. Have a good day. I'm Cito Beltran, and that's today's Agenda.